Hey, what's up? Matt Thomas here. This is part 1 of 2 of an introduction to AJAX. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can apply a simple but practical example of AJAX. If you're new to JavaScript, I recommend that you look into some JavaScript tutorials either before or after watching this one. However, you should be able to follow along without any prior knowledge of JavaScript. First off, what is AJAX? Well, the acronym stands for Asynchronous, JavaScript, and XML. And what does that mean? Well, AJAX is not a web technology in itself, but rather a method that utilizes a group of web technologies, specifically JavaScript and XML. The asynchronous part, well, that just means that when extra data is being requested from a web server, it's loaded into the background of a web page without interfering with the display or the behavior of that existing web page. Basically, the browser doesn't have to reload that page to update data on that page. When a traditional web page is loaded, several things happened, and let's take a look at the classic model. When you click on a link or enter a URL into an address bar, you're sending a request to the web server. That web server might have to retrieve some data from a database. That data is then sent back to the web server, and then that data is served up, formatted into HTML and CSS to the browser. And in order for the browser to get new information, it has to reload. Now, in the AJAX web application model, the browser sends its request through a JavaScript call into what's known as the AJAX engine or method. That request is then sent to the web server. The web server grabs the data if it has to. That data is sent back to the web server, and the web server formats the data into XML. Not always, but usually. And we'll get to that in a second. Then the data is sent back to the AJAX engine and served up into the browser, formatted in HTML and CSS. And you're probably wondering, well, how come the page doesn't have to reload this time? Well, AJAX is actually manipulating what's known as the DOM, the Document Object Model, to update objects on the page without having to reload. And you're going to see that in part 2 of this tutorial. When we actually write the code, you're going to understand what the Document Object Model is. So, yeah, there's one thing you have to remember, though. XML is just a way to format data to give it structure and meaning. And as we're going to see in the next video, data doesn't have to be formatted in XML to be handled by AJAX. However, for future reference, it is good practice to format your data in XML because it can be more easily parsed by other applications and programming languages, such as Flash's ActionScript. For this tutorial, we're not going to format our data with XML. We'll save it for more advanced tutorials. So let's get started in the second part of this tutorial where we're actually going to write some AJAX code.